In 2023, Donald Trump was charged with 91 criminal counts, more than any president in America's 250-year history. How did he respond? Not by staying silent, not by apologizing, not by hiring a lawyer and bowing his head. He turned the courtroom into a campaign stadium, called every trial a witch hunt, attacked the judge directly, raised funds from photos of criminal records. 14 months later, he returned to the White House. If you think this is just about American politics, stop, because what we are about to analyze is not about politics. This is high-level power psychology, and why most of what you're taught about apologizing correctly can be wrong in some very specific situations. Welcome to Power Thinking Part 1. Roy Cohn, the man who trained Trump. Before analyzing Trump, we need to know a name that few people mention: Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was the most famous lawyer and infamous of America from the 1950s to the 1980s. He was Senator McCarthy's right-hand man in the hunt for communists, the legal representative for the New York Mafia, and someone even the most seasoned lawyers avoided confronting. Trump met Cohn in 1973. At that time, Trump was 27 years old and was being sued by the US government for racial discrimination in real estate. The normal response? Hire a lawyer, negotiate, possibly compromise. Roy Cohn did not teach Trump to compromise. He taught Trump 3 survival rules, and Trump ran these 3 rules like an operating system for the next 50 years. Rule 1. Always attack. Always attack, never defend. When you're defending, you have already lost psychologically. The attacker controls the story. The defender is just reacting. Rule 2. Never apologize. Never apologize. Apologizing is not just admitting fault. It is handing a weapon to your enemy to use against you forever. One admission, and next time they wait for the next admission. Rule 3. Deny everything. Absolute denial. Even if there is evidence, even if everyone knows, do not confirm anything that could harm you. Roy Cohn said a sentence that Trump remembered for life: "I'd rather die than apologize." And he kept his word. Roy Cohn did not apologize to anyone until he passed away in 1986. The important thing to understand here, Trump did not learn a theory. He learned an operating system, and he installed that operating system into himself from the age of 27. Part 2. Timeline of victories, when not apologizing becomes a win. Now look at the actual data, because power thinking is not based on feelings. 2005, Access Hollywood tape, the leaked audio in which Trump said things about women that any ordinary politician would have to resign within 24 hours. Trump called it locker room talk, normal things men say to each other, no real apology. A month later, he won the first presidential election, first time. 2019, first impeachment, brought before Congress for trial. By normal logic, this would be the end point. Trump called the entire process a witch hunt, a political witch hunt. He attacked each member of Congress in retaliation. Result? Acquitted. Support base increase, not decrease. 2021, January 6 and second impeachment, the event of storming the Capitol, one of the darkest days in American history. Trump became the only president to be impeached twice, did not apologize, continued to claim the election was stolen. Result? Acquitted a second time. 3 years later, back to the White House. 2023, 91 criminal charges. No president or former president in American history has ever been prosecuted so many times. Many experts declare this time it's really over. Trump turned each trial into a fundraising event. Photos of his mugshot became the best-selling t-shirts of the year. Attacks the judge on social media every day. 2024, wins the election by a landslide. Let's sit with this a little. 91 charges, 2 impeachments, lost the election, criminally convicted, and he still came back to the White House. This is not luck. This is a system that has operated consistently for over half a century. But the more important question, and this is the question that counterintuitive thinking always asks, is why does it work and can you apply it? Part 3. The psychology behind 3 core mechanisms. There are 3 psychological mechanisms that explain why this strategy is effective and why it is particularly effective with Trump. Mechanism 1. DARVO. DARVO is a technique well studied in academic psychology. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Deny, attack, reverse the victim role. When attacked, Trump does not stand still to take the hit. He denies, "I didn't do that." Attacks, "This is a political conspiracy." Reverses, "Actually, I am the one being harmed." This technique is extremely effective because it forces the opponent to step in. defensive position. They have to explain why Trump is not a victim instead of continuing to attack him. The entire campaign battle shifts to their disadvantage. The second mechanism, intermittent variable reinforcement, the slot machine effect. Behavioral scientists have proven irregular and uncertain rewards create much stronger addiction than stable and predictable rewards. That is why slot machines are more attractive than a monthly salary. Even though logically a monthly salary makes more sense, Trump is inconsistent, sometimes aggressive, sometimes gentle, sometimes attacking allies, sometimes praising someone he just criticized. Fans do not know what they will get next, and it is precisely this uncertainty that keeps them attached. Never apologizing is part of this loop. It creates unpredictability, and unpredictability creates attention. The third mechanism, psychological structure. His brain may actually be different. This is a point many people do not want to talk about, but inverted thinking does not shy away from unpleasant truths. Mary Trump, Trump's granddaughter and also a psychologist, along with many other psychologists, analyzes that Trump exhibits narcissistic personality traits formed since childhood. His father, Fred Trump, was extremely cold, demanded absolute perfection, and never gave praise. To survive in that environment, Trump's brain developed a defense mechanism, an inviolable ego that does not admit mistakes. People with this psychological structure do not experience guilt in the way ordinary people do, not because they are stronger, but because their brains are wired differently. This is not an excuse. This is an explanation. And this is also why you cannot simply decide not to apologize like Trump, because he is not acting. And if you try to do so, you are acting, and the people around you will immediately sense it. Part 4. Inverted thinking. 3 questions before applying. Now comes the most important part. The question is not, should I do like Trump? The right question is, what game am I playing? And what are the rules of that game? Before deciding not to apologize in any situation, ask yourself these 3 questions. Question 1. What is my frame in their eyes? Frame is how others perceive your action. Through which filter? When Trump didn't apologize, the frame was already established. Powerful, uncompromising billionaire, built over 40 years before entering politics. If your frame is not yet established, if the other person doesn't have enough data to respect you, then not apologizing will be read as arrogant, not confident. The frame must be built beforehand. You cannot borrow it from someone else. Question 2. What is my batna? Batna, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, is the answer to, if this relationship ends, what do I have left? Trump didn't apologize to NBC because he didn't need NBC. His batna was extremely high. He lost a TV contract and felt nothing. If your batna is low, if you need the job, this relationship, this opportunity, not apologizing is betting with something you cannot lose. Knowing your batna is not weakness. That is strategic thinking. Question 3. Is this apology real or just submission? There are 2 types of apologies. The first type, a genuine apology. You understand that you are wrong, want to make amends, and the apology reflects that. This type builds trust. The second type, an apology under pressure. You do not see yourself as wrong, but apologize out of fear of consequences. This type destroys trust because the recipient usually senses insincerity immediately. Trump does not give the second type of apology, not because he is brave, but because his psychological mechanism does not allow it. But if you are considering not apologizing in a situation where you clearly know you are wrong, that is not reverse thinking. That is self-deception. So what is the final answer? Trump does not apologize not because he is stronger than you, but because he is playing a different game with a different deck, a different playing field and different rules. He had Roy Cohn programming the operating system for him since he was 27. He had millions of fans ready to absorb every scandal for him. He had a psychological structure that does not experience guilt in the way normal people do. And you don't have those things. That's not a bad thing, because your game may need completely different rules to win. Inverse thinking does not teach you to copy the winner. It teaches you to understand why they win. Then decide whether that game is your game. If this video is useful to you, subscribe so you don't miss episode A2. Because in the next episode, we will dive into the 7 specific weapons that Trump has that ordinary people cannot copy, and why his no apology strategy intentionally creates polarization, and why that very polarization is his greatest weapon. I guarantee you, After that episode, you will never look at Trump or any powerful person the same way again. See you in the next episode of Powerful Thinking.